First of all, how dare you sit here and accuse ICE agents of being Nazi, Gestapo, and white supremacists when they are enforcing
Is that what I said?
You just insinuated that they're apparently recruiting others. You said they're recruiting others, and then it's a dog whistle.
So MAGA mouthpiece Scott Jennings, along with a few other right-wing regulars, showed up on Abby Phillips' show. This time, though, they ran straight into progressive journalist Charles Blow, and it did not go well for them at all. Let's roll the clip first, then I'll break it all down afterward. And before we jump in, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. All right? Let's get into it.
This is not the first time the Trump administration has threatened to use the Insurrection Act. It's something that the White House has been telegraphing for quite some time now.
You can use the term insurgency. You can use the term insurrection. Engaging in these trained insurgent tactics. This is a party that has embraced full-scale insurrection. There has to be street battle against armed insurrectionists. They're saying they're going to carry out insurrection against the federal government. It is an insurrection. This is an all-out campaign of insurrection against the sovereignty of the United States. He declared a no-go zone for ICE. How is that not insurrection? It is domestic terrorism. It is insurrection.
Now, Stephen Miller has also posted about insurrection at least 30 times just in the last year since Trump took office for the second time. These posts get hundreds of thousands of views. CNN senior legal analyst Ellie Honig is going to join us in our fifth seat tonight. But I do want to start with this idea of the Insurrection Act and whether this is the moment that the Trump administration has been waiting for. Scott, you have been convinced that this is the time.
Yeah, they'd be well within their rights to do it. I mean, you've got a governor of Minnesota who has said out loud that he believes they exist in a state of occupation of the federal government. You've got people going off to trainings, training how to fight federal agents. You've got massive amounts of money flowing into these groups to fund this stuff. And you have a bunch of elected officials in Minnesota who seem to believe that federal laws do not apply there, and you have massive unrest and massive disorder in the streets. And just last night, a ICE agent was trying to arrest a Venezuelan national, and two other Venezuelan nationals, all illegal immigrants, came out and tried to beat him to death with a shovel, which has apparently enraged everyone in Minnesota. They have a lot of problems there, and if Trump decided to do it, I think he'd be well within his rights to do so.
Well, Scott's right that Donald Trump does have very broad discretion to invoke the Insurrection Act. If he does that, he will certainly be challenged in court, and I think he'll probably prevail because of how broad the law is. But let's also step back and get a little historical perspective here. If Donald Trump invokes the Insurrection Act over this, it will be the weakest invocation of the Insurrection Act in U.S. history. And let's just go through the recent history. The last time it was invoked, 92 L.A. riots, 63 people dead, $1 billion worth of damage. Anyone who was, most of us, maybe not you, but we're alive and remember that. And this is nothing compared to the L.A. riots. Before that was the late 50s, early 60s, desegregation, when certain towns and states in the South were defying Brown versus Board of Education, the Supreme Court, for years. And Eisenhower, JFK, and LBJ all invoked the Insurrection Act to make sure that black students could get into public schools. This does not even begin to compare to that. So can he do it legally? I think he probably can. Is it a sound use of the Insurrection Act? I think it's historically completely out of step with the way we've seen it used by prior presidents.
The problem with
Scott just can't stop being obsessed with Trump, and the way he parrots whatever Trump says is pretty wild. Today he claimed Renee Good was getting funding and training to fight federal agents. But honestly, where's the proof for that? A woman is dead, and he's out here throwing out allegations with zero evidence. That's not analysis. That's MAGA fever. By the way, the ICE agent who shot Renee Good, Jonathan Ross, has seen significant financial support on crowdfunding sites from people backing him, with these funds now approaching or exceeding around $750,000 on at least one platform. That money isn't coming from official sources. It's from private donors online.
is that he doubles down on mistakes. So do I think he might invoke the Insurrection Act? Absolutely, because he's losing here politically, and he's feeling embarrassed, and he's got to find a way out. And I don't know that there is a way out unless the grown-ups, the Democrats that run Minnesota and Minneapolis, come to him and say, okay, here's a deal, Mr. President. We'll make it look like you have a win. Just like, our friend from Venezuela had to give her Peace Prize to him today. He needs something to show that he won. And I'm hoping that they could come to some sort of deal like that.
And also as part of his kind of makeup, he believes that the only way to deal with dissent is to crush it.
Right.
That is not only horrible politics, it is un-American, and it is likely to fail. This is, and they've been building up to this idea that they will create the crisis and then they will solve the crisis by cracking down even harder than the forces that they used to create the crisis. They're asking ICE to do outrageous things. They are recruiting them using Nazi, white supremacist propaganda, hinting to that. And then people see that. People who don't recognize it as Nazi or white supremacists, maybe they just join anyway. But the ones who do recognize it see it as a hint, the same kind of hint as stand back and stand by. And then you put those people in the field. This is not people coming to Washington to protest. These are people being placed in my neighborhood doing horrible things to my neighbors. And when people respond to that, they say, now the problem we created, we will solve with more force. This is a horrible political play.
First of all, how dare you sit here and accuse ICE agents of being Nazi, Gestapo, and white supremacists when they are enforcing
Is that what I said?
You just insinuated that they're apparently recruiting others. You said they're recruiting others, and then it's a dog whistle for others to then apply to that.
Absolutely.
Second of all,
listen to how she worded it. He didn't say all ICE agents are like that, just some of them. And there's a point there. When you look at how things are being marketed and talked about, sure, it can draw in people with really extreme views. That doesn't automatically mean every single ICE officer is a white nationalist or holds those beliefs. A lot of people, including those critical of what happened in Minneapolis, make that distinction, condemning violent ideologies while acknowledging there are agents who are just doing their jobs and aren't extremists themselves.
Let me tell you what he's referring to.
You didn't see that?
He's referring to posts that have been put out on social media by DHS.
I've seen all the posts.
And on the Department of Labor and on other accounts that have been traced back to white supremacist chat rooms, iconography.
That's like equivalent if Hitler drank water, so if you drink water, you're Hitler.
Did you not see the one?
Well, look,
did you not see the one with George Washington?
There's plenty of stuff.
Did you see the one with George Washington?
Which specific one?
The one where they were using Nazi, it's hinting at Nazi phrasing over a picture of George Washington. Did you see it? Did you see it? You didn't see it.
Well, what was the Nazi phrasing?
You said you see it, but you didn't see it.
What is the phrase? What is the phrase?
What's the phrase?
And the reason,
wait, can I continue my answer?
How can you accuse her of seeing it if you can't say the phrase?
I don't want to, guys, hold on. I don't know what you're talking about. One second. Everybody stop talking. Just a second. I don't want to go down this cul-de-sac. All I was saying, just in response to your question, is that he wasn't saying ICE agents are Nazis or whatever it is. He was saying that some of the iconography that has been used and some of the phrases that have been used by DHS on social media, people have linked back to very specific places where white supremacist ideology is utilized. You can disagree with that, but that is what he's talking about.
Okay.
That's all I wanted to say.
Now to the crisis at hand. Democrats created...
Crisis of his own making.
Just can you let her
Really?
finish?
Because I think it was Joe Biden who opened the border for 4 years and let in not only illegal aliens, but otherwise inadmissible aliens. And what did you think was going to happen when you let in millions of illegal aliens? It means that ICE must then carry out mass deportations because guess what? There are laws in the books. Now the question then becomes, do you care about enforcing laws on the books, or do you think it's okay to just ignore certain laws?
Of course we want to enforce laws on the books.
So that's what ICE is doing.
Obama enforced the immigration laws. He deported millions of people. He wasn't shooting people in the street. He wasn't breaking car windows. His poll numbers didn't collapse over it because he was being overly aggressive and un-American. Where are all the Tea Party people who had the don't tread on me signs? Where are they today? We've got tanks in the streets in America. Not tanks, but troops in the streets in America. This is America, and this is an un-American activity.
Okay, what this law will do, just so everyone understands, if invoked, it will allow the president to deploy the military. We're beyond National Guard here, so Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, into the streets to serve a policing function. Now, historically, we've tried to separate those two, right, for good reason. Posse comitatus is the Latin phrase, but it just means troops don't do policing. And so the question really is it will it help? Is it necessary to send in the military? Will that help ICE do its job better? And look, I grew up with, not grew up, but, in my job professionally, knowing dozens of ICE agents, and they've all been very good, very solid people who want to do the right thing. I made major cases with ICE. I mean, ICE doesn't just do deportation. They make criminal cases as well. So in my experience with ICE, they're not Nazis. They're not racist. But do we need to bring in uniformed Army, Navy, Marines to get on the streets with them? I promise you, ICE would tell you, would say,
I want to make sure we get this phrase in, because the phrase is one homeland, one people, one heritage. Remember who we are as American over a picture of George Washington. And that is a hint at what a lot of people are suggesting is a hint at a Nazi German party thing that said one people, one realm, one leader. Do you remember what the largest Nazi rally ever held in America, where it was held?
Have you ever seen a dollar bill that says one nation under God? Have you ever read John Jay, who said we were one people with one language?
Madison Square Garden in 1934. And you know what picture was on that stage? George Washington. And you know what the person said when they got on the stage to introduce that Nazi rally? Was that if George Washington was alive today, he and Adolf Hitler would be friends.
And a normal president.
Thank you so much.
What really gets under my skin is how some of these MAGA pundits suddenly clutch their pearls whenever someone like Nick Fuentes opens his mouth. They act all horrified like, oh my God, how could he possibly say that? But come on. It's not like his views are some wild departure from theirs. The real issue they have with Fuentes isn't what he believes. It's how he says it. He doesn't bother with dog whistles or coded language. He just says everything outright. Meanwhile, these MAGA commentators dress up the same ideas with softer wording, hints, and vague talking points so they sound more acceptable.
One more note.
You were talking,
Chris was talking about...
Well, when you call people white supremacists, keep quiet.
Scott, you talk a lot about these so-called 80-20 issues. So Trump seems to be on the way to turning immigration into at least a 70-30 issue, not in his favor. The latest AP poll says just 38% of Americans approve of immigration. That's way down from where he started. This is politically not working in Trump's favor. At what point are they going to realize that maybe things have gone too far?
Some of those people may disapprove because they want there to be more deportations even faster. We've deported 2.6.
I don't think. Based on the poll, hold on, Scott. Based on the polling, we have a lot of polling, especially this week. There's been a CNN poll. There's a Quinnipiac poll. It's pretty clear. They disapprove of his handling of deportations. They disapprove of what happened in Minnesota with Renee Good. And they disapprove of Trump's handling of immigration. If they thought he was doing a great job, they would applaud what has been happening so far, and they aren't.
I mean, look, we can debate the polling. I can only refer you to the November 2024 election, in which Donald Trump flatly told the American people he was going to deport illegal aliens. He was going to mass deport illegal aliens, and that's exactly what they've done. They've deported.
He said he was going to deport the worst of the worst.
Yes.
And they are.
No, they're not.
And so
73% of them have no record whatsoever. That is not false. And only 3% have.
Why don't I let finish? I get asked questions and you just talk and you talk.
So you've never talked over anybody. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so Charles, finish your thoughts, Scott.
Here's the deal. He ran on it, and he's doing it, and he's going to be the president for the next 3 years, and they are going to continue to do it. They've deported 2.6 million people. About 2 million have actually self-deported. Only 600 and something thousand have actually been deported through ICE or Border Patrol or other law enforcement operations. So the vast majority of people who are leaving the country are doing so through self-deportation. To me, the greatest question here is, why does it and why is it that Democrats in the state of Minnesota believe that they should be immune from or not applicable to federal immigration law that has been on the books for years? We haven't passed any new laws.
And again,
we haven't passed any new laws.
That's not the question.
It's a misleading statement about how Democrats believe.
Listen to their own statement.
That's not the question at all.
No, it's misleading.
People are responding to the cruelty.
It's when you ask for the
All right, that's going to do it for today's video. If you found this helpful, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe for more content like this. I'll catch you in the next one.